G'day guys, Brendan from Adventure Merchants here. You might recognise this beast from the recent 4x4 Australia Custom of the Month. Very happy to say we did the touring fit out here in-house and very happy with how it turned out. This is the sort of thing we love to do here. We always love a good challenge, so when KAS came to us and wanted to build the ultimate land-based fishing vehicle, we were definitely up for the challenge and yeah, super happy with how it turned out. So let me show you around. I'll start from the front. Kind of in the front end here, KAS wanted a real classic sort of look. So we went through 3 or 4 different variations of the front grille and headlight surrounds to get that ultimate look. When the car actually came to us, there was a lot of bar work. So there was big bull bar, brush bars, side steps, roof rack, and KAS wanted to sort of pull all that back and get that real kind of classic look again. So we stripped it all back, got it resprayed in the Nardo grey, like in a matte colour, which really kind of sets it off. Keeping the classic bar in the front here. Did the LED light upgrade. Anyone that owns a Defender will know that the original lights are not very good at all. The low beams on these are the equivalent of the high beams on the factory one, so it definitely makes a difference driving at night. Underneath the front number plate here is where we have the solar input that goes through to the DC-DC charger. We've also got our own custom air intake grills. Did have a snorkel on it, but again, KAS wanted that real minimalist look, so we stripped all that back and made our own profiles for these. Up front here, one of the upsides to this car when KAS bought it, it was engineered for the 35-inch tyres and the 2-inch lift, which was a real big selling point. So the car definitely had some real good selling points with the driveline and everything that was already on it. Kind of a top quality build in that sense. We put some new flares on it to match the width of the tyres. So we went through 2 or 3 sets because the first few didn't really match the aesthetic of the vehicle. So we eventually found a pair in the UK that looked quite good. So we got those in now and that really sort of finished off the look. The custom rock sliders were made by one of KAS's mates, so these came out quite nice. Again, he just wanted something fairly sleek looking and nothing too stand out and bulky. We've also a few other little bits and pieces. So on the outside, all the rubber trims, everything being a 2006 TD5, they'd all cracked and faded. So we've replaced all the seals, all the wiper arms, the mirrors, changed out all the door bolts and the bonnet hinges and everything to stainless steel bolts just to sort of clean that look up a bit, as well as all the simple things like changing out the door handles and that to give it a real nice new look. Up top here, we've got the front runner 3/4 length rack. Originally we did have the full length rack, but it just looked a bit cleaner going to the 3/4. So we sort of opted with that because really he wasn't carrying too much gear. It was mostly to house his fishing rods, which you'll see in the A.M.O rod holder box. Got the Easy On S2000 rollout awning. One thing we did want was a lot of light all around because KAS actually does get this vehicle off-road. So basically at night time, we want to have a good arc of light all around the vehicle. So we've got 2 side lights and then 2 rear lights that create that kind of flood beam around the vehicle. So at least at night, if he's on a tight track, he can see all around him. They're operated from factory style Defender switches because he didn't want your typical toggle style switch. So we've integrated that into the front dash and you wouldn't really notice that that's what the switches are there for. We've got a slimline solar panel up there as well, which we created a custom mounting panel for it. So it stays beneath the lip of the roof rack and you can't really tell it's there. That left him with plenty of other space. So if he's ever got a mate that comes along and needs to chuck a swag and stuff up there, he can put that up, no worries. The vehicle came with the 2 front runner gull wing windows. So that was a nice addition. We did have these resprayed at the same time as the rest of the vehicle just to give him a fresher look. This is basically his access through to under the bed. So this goes into the wheel arch, which is for his sort of soft luggage, clothing and all those bits and pieces. There was a water filler back here as well, which was just a cheap plastic one that had been sort of hacked to pieces. So we've created a custom aluminium panel to tie in with the front runner window and found a nice black anodized water filler as well, just to sort of match the rest of the vehicle as opposed to having something white plastic there that didn't suit at all. So that's filling the 37 litre front runner tank down here in the wheel arch, which gravity feeds through to the back bar. Cool, now I've run you through all that, I'm gonna spin the car around and show you the fun stuff, so the custom fit out inside and the slide out kitchen. All right, so now we've spun around, I'll show you some of the fun stuff. At the back here, you can see the roof rack lights that I was talking about. They're actually wired up in a 3-way switch, so you can turn them on just for setting up camp, but we've also wired them to come on with the reverse. So if you're on a steep off-road track at night or whatever, you can chuck the car in reverse, instantly see what's behind you without sort of having to fiddle around to try and turn the lights on. So that's a cool little addition we do to a lot of our tourists. On the back of the tyre here, we've got the good old front runner stainless grill. On the shoot for 4x4 Australia, we cooked up some delicious tomahawk steaks and Japanese street corn. High lift jack mounted to the swing away carrier. With tyres this size, the weight's too much for the back door, so we always put some sort of swing away carrier to take the weight of it. On the back here, you've got the gravity-fed tap that links through to the front runner tank up in the wheel arch here, which this is quite good just for washing your hands and dishes. It's separate from your onboard drinking water as well, so you're not burning through your fresh water supply. Next, I'll show you in the back here. So, in the back here, KAS really wanted sleeping quarters in the back of the car. Now, it was important to not go too high because it gets too claustrophobic in there and a bit too tight to sleep in. We also wanted to kind of keep it below the window line so it's a nice clean look. So we sort of settled on around this height based on being able to fit the fridges underneath. So in the back here, we've got his dual fridge slide. So basically we designed it around fitting 2 of the Waco 35 litres. So if KAS is just going away for a weekend or just by himself, he can just take 1 fridge. Bigger trips or going with multiple people, he can actually fill up both fridges or run 1 fridge or 1 freezer, etc. 2 cub boxes underneath here which just carry day-to-day bits and pieces, recovery gear and stuff like that. And on top is his fishing drone which he uses to launch off his boat, and it flies out and drops bait around where he's fishing. So this was a lot of the essential kit that we had to design the car around. Really tried to find a place for everything because our general sort of rule is you shouldn't have to move one thing to get to something else, and everything has a home. And obviously something like this drone is quite expensive. You didn't want this just sliding around in the back. The fridges and the auxiliary lighting are powered by the onboard 12-volt system. So we've got a 105 amp hour lithium battery under the seat on our own custom dual battery bracket, along with a custom fuse block. So all of that is managed through the C-Zone system, which I'll show you in a minute. Everything's centrally controlled and can be paired to his iPad as well. So if he's sitting outside by the campfire, wants to turn lights on and off and stuff like that, he can monitor the battery life and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's worked out quite well. All right, now this is the really cool part. So underneath here is where we had to fit the slide-out kitchen. So KAS really wanted to have like a useful kitchen with plenty of storage and nice prep area and stuff. So as you can see, we've really fit a lot into a small space. We designed this entire slide-out kitchen basically around the space we had in the car. So we were dictated by the height of the bed platform, the recline of KAS's chair. So we had him set the chair in his driving position so we could maximise that amount of space, and then also how far we could come back past the cutaway of the door. And then from there we worked backwards to work out everything we could fit inside. So we had the Primus cooker, so we had to work out how much space we needed for the Primus. That dictated the width of the drawer and so forth. We worked in the drop-down stainless bench with the slide-out timber, just to give you a little bit more prep area. Bit of storage in here for food and utensils. There's a little just chopping board underneath. Then there's also a lift-up cabinet here which houses all the pots and pans. This is for all utensils and food storage and stuff like that. Then in the drawer here for more storage of food, he's got all of the Camper's Choice pouches to organise everything, which is something that I'm all about. I hate stuff just being thrown around loosely. So he's kind of got everything you would need in there. And then on the end here is the C-Zone touchscreen, which controls the entire 12-volt system, and you can monitor everything from here. So we sort of went with a system like this, basically to have it essentially controlled. So you're not walking to the other side of the car to turn on or off a light. You don't have to go back to the dash. He can turn his water on from here. There's water outlets on both sides, so he can have a shower on one side and cook on this side. But yeah, this was really the kind of center piece of the car that we then worked backwards off to fit everything else around it. It was a fully custom design. Everything's sort of spring-loaded to lock into place. We had to design a lot of these locking mechanisms ourselves in how we were going to have it work, because we didn't want to design something like this and then just have a standard little gate bolt or over center or something hold it all in place, because aesthetics were probably as important for us as they were for KAS as well, just to have something nice and clean looking. Again, this kind of goes back to our philosophy of everything having a home and not having to move one thing to get to something else. So from here, it was really easy for KAS to get up early morning, chuck on the lights, prep a bit of muesli or whatever, and then jump in the boat and head out fishing for the day. Coming back late at night, wanting to quickly make something before going to bed. We just wanted to be simple and easy, not having to pull out a table to set up the stove, fast to pack up so you can just lock up the car, get out, get the fish, come back and go to bed sort of thing. So this is how we ended up. We basically made this in conjunction with a brand called Mova, who we partner with to create products like this. So this will be available for sale, but as part of a whole assembly. We're very particular about how things go together, and most of our customers would want the same thing. So they'll want the full setup, not just part of it. So yeah, be very excited to see this in a few cars. We've also got a similar layout to suit our new pop tops that we're making with Mova, which should hopefully be coming out very soon as well. Up front, because KAS had some aftermarket Recaros that don't have the access panel into the passenger seat to access the battery in that, we got the custom fuse block in the front of the seat so that KAS doesn't have to remove the front seat to get into it. Again, aesthetics are a real big part of this vehicle build, so we've had the roof lining retrimmed in black, which makes a huge difference to the car. In the back here, we've got a little 12-volt fan, just so when he's camping in summer, that cools down the inside. There's also a RAM mount for his iPad, so if the weather's bad, he can lay inside with his iPad and watch Netflix. Up front with the dash, retaining the classic look, we've just trimmed the top of the dash in leather. Got a nice timber aftermarket steering wheel, which just adds a real nice feature to it, as well as retrimming the gear knobs and stuff like that, just to give it a real custom sort of feel to it and add a bit of a different aesthetic that's not sort of available off the shelf. All of the switches up front are the factory looking switches, so there's no aftermarket toggle switches or anything like that. The center console underneath that has the ECU and everything that's been removed from under the driver's seat just to raise it up a bit higher for water crossings and stuff like that, as well as that's where he turns on his maxi diff lockers as well. We retrimmed the center console as well to match the dash. We installed a little 350 watt red arc inverter just so KAS could charge his camera and drone batteries while he's driving along as well. On the driver's side, gullwing was probably what was the next most important thing for KAS. Again, being an avid land-based fisherman, he wanted somewhere to store all of his various reels, tackle boxes and stuff like that. So we set about designing a way to house all of that with plenty of extra space as well. It's also where we put the C-zone distribution block. We wanted to keep that a bit high so it's easy to access and it's away from any water and things like that during river crossings. We wanted it to be well organised too, so we've custom designed a couple of panels to go in there that match the international standards of the MOLE panels, because he did have some first aid kits and stuff to attach there. We've also put a grid of M6 bolt holes so he could attach quick fists for things like his bush knife, hatchets and things like that as well. Just like on this side where he keeps his clothing, pots and pans and stuff like that, there's quite deep storage that goes down to the wheel arch. It's the same on the driver's side. Underneath the tackle boxes and the MOLE panels is where he puts all his canvas bags for his fishing reels and day-to-day gear. All right guys, thanks for joining me on this brief walk around. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see this in more detail or you want to see this beast out in action, head on over to 4x4 Australia and check out the article and the video.